Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diaries of a Haemophiliac. Today I'm going to be speaking about Haemophilia A. Yes, so there are different types of blood clotting disorders. There's Haemophilia A, there's Haemophilia B, there's von Willebrand's disease, there's a few platelet disorders as well. However, I'm going to focus on Haemophilia A today. So within haemophilia, there are three different types of severity. There's severe, which is usually a blood clottage percentage of either 1% or less. Then there is moderate, which is between 1% to 5%. And then there's mild, which is 5% to 40%. What these numbers mean is how well that person's blood can actually clot. So my blood doesn't produce any factor VIII, which is a coagulation factor. What this means when my level is as low as 0.01, which hopefully it never is because of my medication, it means that I can bleed internally. And there's a few different ways I can do that. So first of all, I could bleed into my skin tissue, which is just a common bruise. These aren't very dangerous and usually tend to settle themselves. Another place that I can bleed into is a muscle, which isn't really good at all because when this happens, not only is it painful for a short while, but it can weaken the muscle as well, which we don't really want that to happen because as a result of that, it then could cause us to have another bleed into that exact same muscle. And not to forget, there's also bleeding into a joint, which isn't the most pleasant experience, but that said, just like bleeding into a muscle, it's very manageable as long as you take your medication. One of the bad things about bleeding into a joint is that eventually causes you to develop hemoarthrosis, which is arthritis caused by bleeding into a joint. Something that's quite common with people who have haemophilia is target bleeds. A target bleed is where there is a certain muscle or joint that one specific part will be prone to bleeding internally. So knowing yourself and how your body works is such a great tool in being able to prevent target bleeds, as well as taking your medication, obviously. So I get this question a lot, and one of the reasons that I do bleed internally is because factor VIII is in this massive chain reaction when you get a cut, for example. And factor VIII, factor IX, von Willebrand's disease are three of the major parts in this. And obviously I lack factor VIII. So without the factor VIII in my blood, the end of this chain reaction cannot happen. So my blood will continue to come out. So there are a few ways you can prevent a bleed. First of all, is taking your medication on time and your prescribed dosage. Another way you can prevent it is treating your body with care, acknowledging when you're having a bit of a rough day and not still going to the gym because you actually are having a bleed but you've just not acknowledged it. When it comes to medication, I take an extended half-life product. What that means is that it stays in my blood for longer than other medications have in the past. The way that I take it is intravenously. What that means is into the vein. What the medication does is it acts as factor VIII within my bloodstream. So when this chain reaction goes off, I already have factor IX and I've got von Willebrand's. The only thing that I didn't have before was factor VIII, and now that I have that, the chain can now be complete. Therefore, I shouldn't, in theory, have any bleeds. For myself personally, I need to take my medication every 3 days, and if I don't take that, then it becomes a little bit more dangerous and I could actually have a bleed, which obviously we don't want, because that would not be fun. Thank you so much for joining me this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Please do let me know and don't forget to subscribe. And if you think this video would be useful to share with your friends or someone in your family, please do share it. No. Painful too. I don't know why I'm doing this voice. I hope you enjoy it though. Do you enjoy it? You enjoy it. Okay, I thought so. It is what it is. Negative Nancy.